call. It was interesting as per form on this Go Diamond call. We had the West Coast checking in first, and as the East Coast eventually woke up, they were coming on board. So thank you everyone for coming on the call this morning and introducing yourselves and telling us about some of the events that are taking place. For those of you that are just joining us, there's activities in California, both in the Bay Area and down in Los Angeles coming up this evening in Salt Lake City. So there's all kinds of activities occurring in the next couple of days. We have an event in Toronto on Monday evening out by the airport that David Moses and Russ Bianchi will be at. So huge activity occurring in many, many other markets. If you haven't gone and checked the events calendar, I would suggest that you do that in your back office. Also want to remind you that if you didn't hear the call on Tuesday night, the Power Hour call, the burn is available now through your app and available in a Pack 1 and a Pack 2. And if you're looking for that Pack 2, you're going to need to use the code BURNPACK and then the number 2 to access that through the app. But it's available now in packages, which is exciting news, and encourage you to be trying it. As we started the call this morning, we were hearing one word about burn. We heard awesome, hot, incredible. We heard some really wonderful words to describe this particular product. And I would like to say it's not sitting on the shelves, that's for sure. As we were ordering those 5-packs over the last month or so, it seemed like every time I placed an order, the product was gone and spoken for before it even reached my doorstep. So it certainly is a strong product. If you haven't tried it, by all means take a look at those new packs through the phone application is the way that you can order them. So we're going to talk a little bit this morning about one of the most important things that you have to do on a daily basis. And a lot of people would say prospecting is one of the things that you need to do on a daily basis. But I'm going to step back even before that and talk about the skill of building a list. So if you've got a piece of paper and a pencil, I want you to kind of in front of you, we're going to be building a list as we go through this call. So a list of individuals that you have not made contact with. So that's going to be one of the pieces of paper in front of you. And then, of course, you can have a second piece of paper where you're taking notes on the things that I'm talking about in regards to the skill of building this list. So my hope is at the end of this call, you will have not only your notes from the call, but you'll have a sheet of paper where you have added names that you have not talked to yet. And some of you may be going, well, Karen, I've been here for a long time. I've already talked to everybody I know. I'm going to challenge you because I guarantee there will be still additional people that will be triggered as you go through some of these processes this morning, and challenge you to continue to make that list. It's absolutely essential that we are constantly making a list of people that we want to make contact with. The worst thing that we can do is to make a list and never continue on a daily basis to add to that list. Because what happens when you get to the bottom of the list? Then where do you go? There's nothing more depressing than sitting down to your desk to say, you know what, I'm going to work my Zija business, but yet where am I going to do? What am I going to do? You have to have names in front of you at all times. And so part of your everyday activity has to be building those lists. And so it's important. When we have lists, we get things done. If you think about some of the prime times that we make lists, so for instance, for those of you that are in the U.S., many of you will be currently making a list of things that need to be completed prior to Thanksgiving. For some of you, maybe you're traveling for Thanksgiving, so it's kind of like a mini vacation. We make a list before we go on vacation. It's amazing the things that we can get done when we have a time constraint and we have something that is a pending event that's occurring. And so that's what lists are all about, and so it's no different. We need a list of individuals that we are going to contact and share the Zija business opportunity and the products with. And it's important. The reason we get so many things on that list of things that need to be done before a vacation or before a holiday is that there is a finish date. So one of the first things you need to do when you're starting that piece of paper today, the list of names that we're going to trigger hopefully throughout this call, you need to put a date on the top of it. So what is the date that you will have completed talking to all of the individuals on your list? And I would suggest that you determine how many is it that I'm going to talk to on a daily basis and make that a goal every single day. So if it's, I'm going to talk to 2 people a day, or 3 people a day, or 5 people a day if I'm doing this part-time, or if you're doing it full-time like myself, my commitment every single day is to talk to 10 new individuals every single day. And so if I've got 100 people on my list, I know that 10 days from now I need to be done that particular list. And so I can easily put a date at the top of that list as to when it's going to be completed. So I encourage you to do that, because that's how we accomplish things, is making a list and having a timeline or a date of completion. So your job then becomes literally crossing the people off the list to accomplish that goal within that given time frame. So you know that you're crossing them off, you know that you're eliminating that list, you know that in addition to doing that, I have to be creating the next list that I'm going to be working on, going through and chatting to people about. So some of those things that we can do on a daily basis to add to the list. Well, how many people read the newspaper regularly? That's a great source of names of individuals that you may contact. So you read the newspaper article and you read that a store is doing well or it's opening a second location. You start to search that company out and figure out who the owner is of that particular company. Many individuals that are successful in business will be involved in more than one business. Some of you on the call may know Black Diamond Barry Dalton has many businesses, and so those are the types of individuals that are going to be positive to talk to about the opportunity from a business standpoint that Zija has to offer. So look at your local newspaper. There's all kinds of stories within the newspaper that can catch your attention if you're reading it for the purpose of finding somebody or a number of individuals to add to your list. You'd be surprised when there's sometimes a story in your local newspaper about somebody that you know and you've totally forgot about them. It's like, oh yeah, man, I know that person. I went to school with that person. Or, we used to work together when, we were teenagers at McDonald's. I didn't know that they went on to own a plumbing business or whatever it is. So read that newspaper with the concept or the idea of not only getting caught up on the news, but using it as a source of leads. And so you're not going to get the person's name and their phone number from the newspaper, but it's a start of a person that you can then follow up and use a variety of sources to get the contact information. We'll talk about those in a little bit this morning. Business cards, they are a great source of additional names. And so whenever you see a business card, pick it up. Whether you're out shopping, whether you're out at a trade show. So trade shows are great. You don't always have to be a vendor at a trade show. You can be highly successful by going to a trade show, picking up the business cards, and then filing them away for about a 3 to 4 week period of time. So if you've gone to a trade show, people are at trade shows because what? They want to expose their products or their services to an audience, and they want to find leads and people to talk to about whatever the reason was they were at the trade show. So it's not a great idea to go to a trade show on the weekend and gather up a bunch of cards and Monday morning immediately call all of those people that you've picked up their cards. Reason being is they want to Monday morning call all the people that they've gathered their names at the trade show. So you need to gather those cards from a trade show, file them, put an elastic band around them, file them away, and they will be a list 3 or 4 weeks from now. And you'll be able to literally say to the person, you know what, I was at the Christmas showcase and you had some products on display there. I knew that you'd be busy, so I kept your card, and now that it's the beginning of January, I thought I'd give you a call figuring that you'd be be a little less busy to see, you've got that business. Are you open to looking at other businesses and other streams of income? And so that's how you make use of those business cards. You can also create your own ongoing sources of business cards. And so what I mean by that is that you could approach one of your favorite restaurants and ask them if they would put a fishbowl at the counter, and literally people drop in their business cards for a $25 or $50 gift certificate, and on a monthly basis the names are drawn out, the business cards are drawn out, and you're the one that pays for that gift certificate. So it doesn't cost the restaurant anything. You're the one that's paying that $25 gift certificate or that $50 gift certificate, depending on the quality of the restaurant. Now remember, the higher the quality of the restaurant, the more likelihood you are going to have successful business people in that particular restaurant, and you know that those are good possibilities for the business side of things, so keep that in mind. There are other restaurants where there are people that go to those particular restaurants because they cater to individuals from a healthy food or lifestyle, and so those are going to be great leads from a standpoint of individuals that are product-based. So there's different types of restaurant locations that will get you different results. Those are ongoing, so the only stipulation you have with the business is at the end of the monthly draw, you pay for the gift certificate, and they give you the cards rather than throwing those cards out, and they become a source of leads. And it's a simple phone call, obviously a phone call to the winner to tell them that they've won and that they can pick up their gift certificate in the restaurant. The other calls are all calls saying, hey, I noticed that you were into my favorite restaurant. I actually provide the free meal once a month, and I see that you own a painting store. I didn't know whether you may be open for other streams of income or not. Saw your card in that bowl and didn't know whether you may be open. And so you're using those. There are other locations, like the gym, for instance, would give you another completely different clientele. You could offer a service of working out with a trainer, so a free personal trainer session on a monthly basis, and people drop their business cards into a fishbowl there. There's all kinds of different ways that you can create business cards that are coming to you, and relatively inexpensively you're able to do that, and keep moving around. So have a fishbowl at a restaurant for a number of months, and then move to a new location, because you'll find that sometimes if you're in the same location all the time, you'll get the same business card. So move around, have a variety of areas and locations that you'd like to do that with. Membership lists are another area where you can get names. So maybe there's a membership list at the church, a membership list at the Y, a membership list for one of your service clubs. So maybe it's the Rotary Club. So those are all lists that are available to you. And if you're part of a Rotary Club, there are lists and membership lists for Rotary Clubs around the world. So those are sources of names. Facebook is obviously, social media is obviously a source of names. It's a great place to, if you've got a name or you think of someone, it's sometimes a way of making contact with them again. If it's someone that you haven't talked to in literally months or years, and you're trying to figure out, well, where are they? Or maybe it's somebody that you used to live beside literally 10 years ago, and you have no idea where they've gone. Sometimes Facebook can be a solution, or social media, LinkedIn, or a variety of social medias. I find that Facebook and LinkedIn are the ones that are going to give you the most information and the most accessibility. Things like Twitter, which is a great way to get information out and exchange information, isn't necessarily the best way to find a lost individual. Also encourage you to look at bulletin boards. When you go to the grocery store, when you go to the church, there are bulletin boards, and often on those bulletin boards are notices like, say, for instance, babysitting in my home. And then there's a little pull-off tags with their name and phone number. Pull one of those off and take that home and add it to your list. And it's just a simple phone call. You know what? I saw that you had a notice up for babysitting in your home at my church, and I thought I'd give you a call and see. Certainly, it sounds like you want to stay at home often to look after your own children, and so you're looking for some additional children to make that feasible. Have you ever thought about other ways that you could work from home in addition to that childcare activity? And so you're just interacting with them. So tell them how you got their name and why you added them to the list, and see if there's possibilities there. When you're traveling, I started this phone call saying, hey, David's on his way to Northern California and in the airport. So there's all kinds of pieces that you can pick up when you're traveling. So there are magazines. There's often phone books that you can get your hands on in other areas. There are realtor magazines. They all have names and phone numbers in them. So pick those up and bring them home. You don't have a chance when you're on vacation often to spend a tremendous amount of time. It's maybe the time that you want to relax and spend with your family, so you're maybe not necessarily thinking about building your business when you're on a family vacation, but it doesn't stop you from picking up pieces and names and phone numbers that you can add to your list. So every time you're staying in a hotel, or going to a restaurant, there's often opportunities to pick up names and phone numbers in a distant location, and then when you get back home, you add those to your list. Everybody's seen those realtor books, like I said, in many locations. Picking one of those up, I can guarantee will add literally 25, 50, 100 names to your list very, very, very quickly. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the other areas that you can look at to develop those lists. You may have hobbies. So there may be some hobbies that you have that you start to develop lists around those hobbies. And they may be by searching on the internet. So putting the internet up and doing a Google search for other individuals that enjoy knitting. And now you've got a relationship with someone. You've found their name somehow by just Googling knitting and knitting clubs, possibly former teachers, retired teachers associations, firefighter associations, if you're a previous firefighter. There's all kinds of hobbies, job-related things that you've done in past that you can search on the internet and often find individuals through there that can be added to your list. Now, I wanted to play a little bit of a game with you this morning. One of the things that we can do is we can take the alphabet from A to Z and we can challenge ourselves to adding a name for each one of the letters. So that piece of paper, let's, if you haven't wrote some names down now by just kind of some of the things that I've said, let's take a real stab at it. So the letter A, okay, the first thing that came to my mind was Adam. And so I encourage you to put a first name or a last name. And multiple. Adam isn't the only one. How many names can you put that start with the letter A? The letter B, Brad. The letter C, Carol. The letter D, David. The letter E, I'm doing these off the top of my head, so Ellen. The letter F, Fred. The letter G, Greg. The letter H, Holly. The letter I, Ingrid. The letter J, Jeff. The letter K, Karen. The letter X. That was okay, maybe I'm stumped at the letter X. Maybe when I open up the line, you guys can help me. I don't know one there. Y, Yvonne. The letter Z, it comes to mind first, but Zoltan. So encourage you to start to make those lists. I mean, I was literally able to come up with those names by just literally saying the letter and then coming up with a name. So encourage you to do that. And what you're doing is you're putting that letter and then trying to come up with as many names as you can, and then thinking, okay, who do I know? Do I know an Adam? Do I know an Ann? Do I know, and literally going through that process. And I can guarantee if you do that this morning, you will add another 100 or 200 names to your list, and you'll have thought, you know what, I thought I talked to everybody, but now I've got all these additional names that I have not talked to. So encourage you to do that on a regular basis. You can also use the phone book and the yellow pages in a phone book where there's all the different occupations, and the challenge is, to look at the occupation. Okay, do I know an accountant? Do I know a banker? Do I know a painter? Do I know a lawn maintenance person? And so, again, you're triggering your memory for individuals that you can write down. And sometimes we don't know how to get a hold of those individuals, so we go back to Facebook, we go back to the internet. There is a site called www.411.com, and you can go on that site and you can plug in a first and a last name, and it will come up with possible individuals and their phone numbers. And so you can sift and sort through there and maybe come up with a phone number for somebody that you've lost track with and you don't have the phone number. So www.411.com. You can also go to lists that will trigger your thought process. So there are lists available that are just as simple as, who sold me my house? Have I talked to the realtor that sold me the house? Have I to the realtor that we dealt with from the individual that was selling it, right? So when you purchase a home, there's two realtors. There's the person that sold it to you, the person that was representing the people that were selling the house. So have you talked to both of them? I just went and got my snow tires on, and so there were individuals that I chatted with, and there were business cards on the counter picked up. So you're constantly thinking, who sold you your last appliance? So maybe you bought a fridge or a stove. Who sold you that fridge or that stove? Who is elected to office in your city or your town? So who are some of the elected officials? They may be prospects that you can put on your list. Have your kids ever taken music lessons? And who taught them their music lessons? Who owns the dry cleaners that you take your cleaning products to all the time? And it's real easy to figure it out. If you take and drop off your dry cleaning and you're picking your dry cleaning up, and the person on the counter, you look at them and say, you know what, I don't really know you, but I know that every time I bring my dry cleaning in here, you provide excellent service. You're always smiling and friendly. And I was wondering, can you give me the phone number, the name and the phone number of the person that owns the dry cleaners? I'd love to pick up the phone and tell them what great service you provide. Do you think that there's going to be an employee anywhere that's not going to give you their boss's name if you compliment them and say, hey, I'd like to pick up the phone and call the boss because the service you provide is excellent? That can go for the person that's at the dry cleaner's counter. It can go for the person that's delivering your pizza. It can be something that you can ask the person that is in the gas station where you pump your gas every morning. And you'll be surprised how they will immediately give you their boss's name and phone number because you complimented them. You said, and so the phone call is as simple as this: picking up the phone, calling that person and saying, hi Steve, you don't know me, my name's Karen Hill. I come into your dry cleaning business all the time. I drop my stuff off there, and Steve, who works, or Joe that works the encounter is always such a great, smiling face, so helpful, always tells me when my stuff's going to be ready. I just wanted to call and say, congratulations on, having some great employees and running a very successful business. And I didn't know whether you may also be open to other businesses. When people run a business as successful as you do, often they are open to other streams. Are you at all open? And so that's how you transition into getting the name, adding the name to your list, and making the phone call and talking to the individual. There's also an app available on Apple, and it's an MLM Contact app. And so you can go and purchase it. I think it's about $4 or $5 to purchase it. It goes through a variety of questions that you answer, and as you're answering these questions, it is bringing more and more names together as far as building a list, and you'll build hundreds of names and phone numbers by using that particular app. So it's available on iPhone, so it's an MLM. If you just do a search through the App Store for MLM Contact List, you'll come up with that particular trigger availability. You can also look at individuals that are involved in the industry of network marketing, and there is a website called MLM.com where it lists 800 to 1,000 network marketing companies, and so they may be searches that you do on the internet. Once you have the name of a network marketing company, you can put that name in and search a geographic location. So maybe it's Vancouver, maybe it's the fact that we're doing a presentation in Salt Lake City, and we start to search for individuals that live in the areas where presentations are occurring. They may be in your backyard, or like I said, they may be clear across the country. So those are ways that you can develop. The other thing you can do is offer something to your existing customers for them to provide you a list. So for instance, you could offer some of your existing Zija clients, maybe they are nutritional clients, you could offer them a free Zija oil for giving you a list of 10 names and phone numbers as far as referrals are concerned. Not everybody wants to build a business. Not everybody wants to go out there and sponsor people, and not everybody's interested in getting product, even for a preferred customer program. But if you offer them an immediate return, so you love our Zija products, you're using the Smart Mix every single day, we've got an incredible skincare line, and one of the products in particular, the Zija oil, is spectacular and has wonderful healing properties to it and is absolutely wonderful this time of year as the weather's cold in my area, particularly for dry skin, ankles and heels of the feet and the backs of your elbows, your hands. It's just absolutely fantastic for that. If you put together a list of 10 referrals, so 10 individuals that you think could benefit nutritionally from our products just like you have, I would love to give you one of those oils as a thank you gift. And you'd be surprised. Ask the people that already enjoy the products that are taking them on a monthly basis from you. So we're not talking to brand new person that you just put on products and they have no idea what the products are going to do for them. But if you've got somebody that's been on products for a number of months now, give them a phone call back and offer that to them. You'd be surprised where those 10 names can take you. And if nothing else, it gets them hooked on our skincare line when they've tried that Zija oil. So it's a win-win all the way around. So the idea is constantly, every single day, you're crossing people off of your existing list and adding more people to the list that you're going to be doing next week, next month, over the next few months. So you're constantly doing that every single day, and you'll never wonder, who am I going to talk to? You'll never say, I've talked to everybody I know, because I guarantee if you continue to trigger your mind, you will come up with more and more individuals that you've forgotten about. You'll come up with individuals that were, they're kind of on my chicken list. I just keep not calling them. If you put a date at the top of the list and say, okay, by this date I've called everybody that's on the list, you're never going to continue to cross that chicken person off. To get through that list, to accomplish your goal, you're going to have to call that person that you've been sort of neglecting and not calling. The worst thing to do, the worst thing that can ever happen to you is to be sitting in a meeting and looking at the front row and seeing the most successful person that you know, the person that you thought, you know what, I just can't call them. I'm not, I need to wait a little bit longer until I get a bit bigger check here, until I've had a little more success, and then I'm going to call Mr. Fantastic. And you look up and Mr. Fantastic is sitting in the very front row, excited as all can be about the Zija opportunity, and you're too late. So they've been on your list for 6 months and you haven't called them. The first thing you do today is get off this call and set a time and set a place for that call and make it happen. Make it happen in the next 24 hours, and I'll guarantee that you'll be glad it did. So I want to thank everybody for being on the line. I'm going to open it up, and let's see who's got some lists. I'd love to hear some numbers of some individuals that you've put on your list, and if anybody has a name for that X that I couldn't come up with, would love to hear that too. So let's open these lines up. Hold on. Thank you, Karen. Ohio. Thank you.